Welcome to the Mariana Dalto Show. Today, we are diving into the world of nonprofit for startups with a truly inspiring guest, David Kerpel. He's a practicing attorney for over 25 years, and he's on a mission to change the lives of dogs in need. After years of legal practice, David followed his passion and founded Forever Home Dog Sanctuary. I hope I pronounced that right.
That's perfect.
Which is a nonprofit dedicated to rescuing and rehabilitating dogs destined to remain in shelters or be euthanized to their breed, age, or behavior. Join us so we can uncover the challenges, the triumphs, and the valuable lessons learned along David's journey to build a safe haven for dogs. Welcome, David, to the show.
Thank you, Mariana.
So happy to have you here. David, we go back, connecting so much lately, and he has so much passion for this project and for this new journey. So I said we need to have you on the show and go over, and you can not just talk about your project, but also like for other people to learn about how you can work with nonprofits. So for the audience that they're like, why is she bringing a nonprofit topic to this? Just listen to it because it's gonna be helpful. So
let's do it.
Let's do it. So David, can you share a bit about your background first and what led you to start Forever Home Dog Sanctuary?
Sure. So I have been a practicing attorney for about 26 years. And I realized probably about 10 years ago that I wanted to do something related to dog rescue because I have always loved dogs. Growing up, I loved dogs. I loved all animals, but especially dogs. And so I knew that when I eventually slowed down, I would focus my energy on dog rescue. And so I volunteered for a year at a dog rescue, but it wasn't enough for me. I wanted to do more, so I decided to start my own nonprofit. And so January of 2022 is when the idea came to fruition and we incorporated.
So how did your experience as an attorney then really shape your approach to starting and managing this nonprofit?
So I was a solo practitioner as an attorney, and so I was basically responsible for not only practicing law and representing my clients, but also running a business. So, and I did everything myself. I didn't have any staff or any help, like associates or managing partners, things like that. So I truly learned, everything about, bringing in money, keeping expenses low, keeping that overhead low, of course, is one of the most important things other than bringing in the business. And that really helped me because when I first started Forever Home Dog Sanctuary, someone told me, you have to treat this like a business. It's not a hobby. And they were right because there are so many moving parts, but I really had no experience in the field. So it was truly a learning process. And I just dove right in and talk to everybody, whether they worked for a municipality, because I had to find land. We have a physical structure, which is kind of rare in the Midwest. And finding land was very difficult because a lot of cities have ordinances that do not allow for the type of mission and vision that I wanted to have. So it took a lot to get to the point where we found some land that we could start our nonprofit and build a new structure to house those dogs that we are going to save.
Yeah, and that was really new for you because as a law practitioner, like you work from your office, from your home, or like you didn't really have to get the land for your business, right? So that was a very new journey, just looking into that specific piece of it.
Yeah. And not only was it, I wasn't a real estate attorney. I'm a
Right.
matrimonial lawyer. So again, no experience in the real estate practice area of law. But it was interesting because I did actually have to use my license as a lawyer to help the sanctuary obtain some land and to obtain a variance to allow us to use the existing structure that was on the property.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to do that because the land is in Illinois and I'm licensed to practice in Illinois. It's in Richmond, Illinois. I don't know
Okay.
if your listeners know that from.
Yeah, for those that are local.
That's right. Richmond, Illinois, right near the Wisconsin border. But it's been great. I mean, everyone's been so welcoming in the area, and so welcoming where I live, because I live about 45 minutes away in Deerfield. And the property is obviously in an area that I never went there. It's like 5 minutes from the Wilmot Ski Mountain in Wisconsin, and so that's the
Hmm.
closest I'd ever come to this area. And so I went out to introduce myself to all the local businesses and all the neighbors in the area and all the dog lovers in the area and the veterinarians in the area. And so I would just drive out there and spend the day meeting people and telling people about, here's what's coming to your town. And it's going to be like nothing you've ever seen. It truly is unique. I mean, we're going to be rescuing the dogs from municipalities, shelters in the municipalities, and we're going to rescue the dogs that are basically destined never to get adopted because of their breed or their age or behaviors. And we're going to, or if they're going to be euthanized, we're going to take them out. We're going to rehabilitate them on our property,
Hmm.
6 acres of land, and in our sanctuary, which is just going to be unbelievable. Plenty of room for them to play, plenty of social and mental and physical interactions, and working with staff and volunteers. And it's basically, I've heard that, I've heard two things. Number one, you're living, when I tell people what I'm doing, they're like, oh, you're living my dream. And I say, come live it with me. You can be part of the mission. We always want helpers. We always want volunteers. And, that's how we've gotten a lot of the people on our committees. Um,
Are you still looking for volunteers or people to help out?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Until we start rescuing the dogs, which will hopefully be in early 2026, we're hoping to
Hmm.
finish construction by the end of 2025. And, you can sign up online as a volunteer to get our newsletter. Then you'll be on the list and get updates. And we need volunteers to plan events, to volunteer at the events, to raise money, and then we'll need them to volunteer at the actual facility with the dogs and with everyone else. But the neat thing is that we are stressing quality over quantity of
Hmm.
dogs. We do not take owner surrender dogs. We will take them strictly from, like the municipalities, Chicago Animal Care and Control, Waukegan, McHenry County, or down south. If we hear of a dog that really needs help, we'll touch base with them, and, that shelter, and try to work out something. Um, but the greatest thing is that we are going to try to have uh, one staff member for every 4 to 5 dogs. So that
Okay.
those dogs will get so much, we get as much interaction and exercise, and they'll be able to play all the time. And they're basically going to tell the staff member when they're ready to come in, instead of like, yeah, okay, here's your 15 minutes twice a day, check it off the list. These dogs are just going to be treated like royalty, and it's going to be great.
I can see the passion there. I can see it. And I
Love it.
love how you said about the tip about like this is not a hobby. This is like you need to treat it as a job, like as a business, right? So um and this is important because there's so many people that I meet that they do nonprofits and this it's very important to really treat it like very seriously. So what are some of the biggest challenges you face when you started to establish this sanctuary?
Well, the first part was trying to find the land, and we spent a year and a half trying to find land that had to be zoned a certain way. The ordinances had to allow it. Some required conditional use permits, some required variances, and sometimes the land was just too expensive. So we really had to look at the numbers and determine if it worked. We also have to, fundraising is a huge part of
Yeah.
any nonprofit, and so
Mm-hmm.
we have to use our time wisely. And this is what I learned along the way. You know, um, bake sales, those are great, but sometimes it takes, things like that. They can take a lot of time, and the final result could be like $200 or $300, which we're talking about a facility of over $1 million that we're going to be raising.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to, concentrate on bigger events and use our time to focus on whether it's sponsors of the events or bigger donors for the events. That's what I've learned. And I've also learned that one important thing with Forever Home Dog Sanctuary is that no volunteer will be turned away. We do not require a contribution financially. We do not even require a time commitment. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I've been involved in nonprofits that sometimes they'll require a donation, they'll require a certain time, or you're expected to raise a certain amount of money, which I can definitely see the advantage of that. But I want people to help because they love our mission and they love our cause, and we don't want to turn anyone away because of that. And so if you want to come, I don't, it doesn't matter how many times you come or what you do for our events or what you do for our cause, we'll take it.
Okay. And what about partnerships? Have you made any partnerships, and has that been a key in your journey in order to grow and in order to keep moving forward?
So at this point, we have not partnered with a lot of the shelters, except there have been a couple meetings we've had with some of the bigger ones. And so they kind of want to wait until we're operational, and then we'll probably bring them back into the fold. And, there's been talk about them, maybe we take some of their dogs and try to rehabilitate them, and they use um, their numbers because they have huge numbers of followers. They have huge numbers on their email list because they've been around 10, 25, even 50 years. So there's definitely been talk of that.
Okay. Okay. And even people who volunteer or wants to be part of it, right? Maybe they could also be referrals or can help with bringing, I don't know, people who can be involved in this mission, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's how I find people who love who we are and how they want to help us. I get introduced to other people because usually when I meet people, my family kind of makes fun of me and is sometimes embarrassed, but they'll know within 5 minutes that I have this Forever Home Dog Sanctuary. And I do that because I hope that they either love dogs and want to help, love dogs and want to donate, or love dogs and have someone in mind, or even if they don't love dogs, they know somebody who loves dogs and say, oh my gosh, you should reach so and so, you should contact this person. And that's what leads to people who maybe they'll have businesses that we can host events at, maybe they'll own businesses that will sponsor events.
That's where the collaborations come in, right? That's how you make partnerships and could help each other, right?
Exactly. Yeah, so that's worked out really well.
Did you have any resistance from the community and local authorities to when you started this project?
Well, not not in
Not yet.
not in Richmond. No, McHenry
Okay.
County has been great. They have been unbelievable, and they are the only county I've I checked it. I'm not going to name them, but
No,
there's
no.
about 6 of them within an hour of where I live in Lake County, and they they didn't like the idea. They didn't want it. They put a lot, even in Wisconsin. There are some in Wisconsin. They put out hurdles up, and McHenry County actually has a provision written in their code, in their ordinance, that allows for animal care shelters. And
Hmm.
that was so refreshing. And the people, the community there, in Richmond, Spring Grove, all around there, they've been so welcoming, and it's really nice. And it's very peaceful and pretty out there, and it's just beautiful out there. So I love going out there whenever I can.
Oh, for the listeners who are probably listening to this podcast, you should go to the YouTube channel and watch David's face when he talks about this because he loves it. You need to see his face, like the passion is coming through his eyes.
It's my dream, and I get
I
to live my
know.
dream. And I just the thought. I mean, now we're talking 3.5 years since we first started, and it has been very hard to be patient during that time. Fortunately, I have a wonderful wife um, who tells me you got to be patient. It's a process. It's very hard for me to do that. I want to rescue dogs so quickly, but I know we have to do it right. So, all right. but we're
Well,
getting
that's
there. We're gonna,
another tip for those who wants to start a nonprofit, the patience, having the patience and knowing that
yeah.
it's a long process.
I actually heard stories where people, they love dogs and they want to rescue them. And so they open up maybe their home or they do a foster-based program. But sometimes they end up taking in more dogs than they can handle at the time. And it's really hard because their heart is in the right place. And it's going to be really hard for me not to do that, but we're going to start really slow. We're going to start with a couple dogs. We're going to get our procedures in place. And then we'll slowly, increase the dogs. But these dogs are going to be, they're going to be there for, months, maybe years. And you know what? Our mission says that if they're there until they get fostered or adopted. And if they never,
Okay.
they get to spend the rest of their lives at the sanctuary. And it's just a beautiful place to spend their time.
That's so nice. So let's talk about for those who are trying to, start their own nonprofit. What advice would you give to them in the first
So
place, just starting out?
yeah, so I had no idea. So I knew I wanted to surround myself with people who had very good qualities as far as either in the dog saving world or even in the professional world.
Mm,
And they had skills, a certain skill set, and each of them brought something different to the table. I also wanted to make sure that they, were truly, really passionate about dogs, more than just like, yeah, I rescued a dog, which is obviously great, or yes, I have a dog, right? I wanted someone who like, yeah, I sit on the board of a dog nonprofit now, and I'd be
okay.
willing to work on, sit on yours, or I volunteer 20 hours a week walking dogs so that they know the dog's behaviors, so that when we start bringing in dogs, they're going to be someone who can set up certain, whether it's color coding for the types of dogs, whether it's, other procedures, that's who I want. That's who I wanted, and that's who came on board. Um, and of course, I have my wife. Not of course, but she actually started a nonprofit 7 years ago, a different one. So she has great experience. Um,
Oh, so
and
she was your mentor. You started with her. She was the one who kind of started guiding you on how to
Yeah,
start the
she is
process.
great. She has great tips. And she's definitely said, you know, she's given me some very good advice. And so we work together and it works out real well. And sometimes I get the benefit of her going through that nonprofit because she could see what worked and what didn't work. And so now we're able to take, the good and try to, maintain it or improve it. So it works out
And
real
we,
well.
we did talk about fundraising. Did she have any tips on how to be most effective with fundraising for your cause or in
Well, she
general
talks
for
about
anyone?
Yeah, well, when you fundraise, again, you want to use your time wisely and efficiently,
Right.
and you want to try to, I can't remember what the saying is, but you should spend like have 20% effort to get 80% of your funds
Yeah.
rather than 80% of your effort to get 20% of your funds. So that means basically work, smarter, not harder. And I've been basically um, not stalking's the wrong word, right? Researching online, potential donors who have given largely to other animal organizations and hoping that they are won over by our mission and won over by my passion. And, so I've been starting to do that. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay. And
Yeah,
so I know for sure fundraising is one of the big things that people can help besides like volunteering and being part. But is there other ways that listeners can support Forever Home Dogs Sanctuary besides those things, the fundraising and the
definitely. So
donation? Yeah.
they can follow us on social media. We have a
Okay.
Facebook page, and you can follow that by searching FHDS Dogs, no space in between, Forever Home Dog Sanctuary, FHDS Dogs. And we have an Instagram as well. Um, Similar, except I think there's an underscore between the two words. So you guys can share our posts to try to get people following and support.
Attention, attention, marketing.
That's right. Marketing, very important to market. You have to market, definitely nonprofits, even
Yeah.
nonprofits, but you got to do that. and email, be a part of our event committee, which is really fun. We Zoom them all, so there's no excuse. You can be a helper from anywhere in the country or the world, and you just need to Zoom in. So send me an email or text me or something. Go to my webpage or the webpage, and you'll see the information. And I'll be happy. I reply to every single email, every single text. So do that. We'd love to have you once a month. We Zoom and we come up with ideas and we give updates on what's been going on with the sanctuary and all the fun progress that we are having. And now that the weather's getting nice, I'll be heading out there more often, and I'll probably have some good content and fun social, little posts to put up there. And we've got some events this summer too, so you can check out our website. And we're also sending a newsletter out actually tonight. So feel free to email me and I will send you one directly.
Yeah, we will put all the details in the show notes for those that wants to reach out to David and learn more or support the nonprofit or collaborate or whatever you want to be involved.
Whatever you
David
want
will
to do.
be, yeah, will be
I'm
there.
listening. I'm listening. I'm here for you. I do want to give a shout out to you though. Your skills as a marketer are extremely impressive.
Oh, thank
Because,
you.
yeah, because I have, I know we were scheduled to do this podcast, and you send out like the timing of your emails and your content of your emails are really personable and very nice, and they're really good for people like me because I forget things, and so you do nice reminders, you space them apart, and they're very personalized. So I like that. So good job.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's part of, maybe you should start implementing that for your nonprofit
Maybe
so then you can have that going as well.
I might just do
It's,
that.
yeah, all the
Yeah.
social media, everything, all the marketing, so you can grow and you can move this faster as soon as the land and the construction is ready to go.
Yep. Get more followers, get more
Yes,
posts, get more
absolutely.
donors, all that good kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. Anything else that you want to share before the show ends? Anything, maybe anything that maybe that you looking back you would have done differently, or that could help some other people with nonprofits with some advice there.
So don't, yeah, here's the big thing. When we had our first property and we went there and we had to basically present our position to the county board, I thought we would be welcomed with open arms because of our mission and because of what we're doing. But we weren't. A lot of the neighbors came out and said, "Yeah, we don't want you here. We're happy with our quietness, and yeah, we love what you're doing. We just don't want it here." And so that was like I was not expecting that. That was like a knife through the heart, and that was very, very difficult to handle. I was very
Yeah.
discouraged. And but that night, I just went back on the online and started searching for more properties. And it turns out that every property I saw was better than the last one. And this most current one that we actually ended up purchasing is the best. And so I would say don't get discouraged. Um, keep keep pursuing your dream. Keep pursuing your business, your whatever you feel you have your heart in. Keep going and don't get discouraged.
Yeah,
Perseverance,
I
perseverance.
I agree. Oh my gosh, 100% agree, and it's so true. And even if you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, is coming. You just continue going, and then you're gonna end up getting what you want in life. And in this case, this passion for you, it's coming true really quickly. So
It is.
that's
It is.
amazing.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you so much, David, for sharing your journey, your insights with us today. Your dedication to making a difference is truly inspiring, and I'm sure people who are dog lovers and like this kind of work will probably, um, try to help as much as they can. And we want to share um, this information everywhere so that people can help. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be in Illinois. It doesn't have to be Wisconsin. It has to, you can be anywhere and help. So we
We
will
actually
put
had
all the
someone.
details.
Sorry, I have someone in India help me design the graphics for
See?
structure. So yeah, with technology, anywhere is possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, to our listeners, be sure to follow Forever Home Dog Sanctuary and consider maybe supporting this incredible cause. And until next time, keep pursuing your passions and making a positive impact. Thank you so much, David.
Well, thank you, Mariana.
See you next time.
All right.